Hi, in this video, I'm going to talk about RIP version 2 and passive interfaces. Okay, so we usually don't want to be sending out routing updates or routing messages or trying to form routing adjacencies in various routing protocols if there's no other router out there. If we have a network where there's a LAN and there's no router like R1 has with 192.168.1.0 network and R2 and R3 with its LANs. Sending out these unneeded updates not only wastes bandwidth, it wastes resources both on R1 and any, depending upon the devices that are out there and the routing protocol you're using. Whether or not devices actually even have to look to see if they need to process these things. It also can be a security risk if you're not authenticating your routing protocol because devices are out there seeing which networks are, well, to getting more information about your network, which you probably don't want to have going on out there. So, passive interface command. So the passive interface command will stop routing updates from being sent out a specific interface. Okay, we still want to include the network command. I'm going to talk about that again shortly here. If you don't include the network command for, let's say, 192.168.1.0, then R1 will no longer advertise that as one of its networks that is reachable via R1. Okay, so let's go ahead and configure the passive interface on router R1, and it's as simple as going under router RIP and saying passive interface and the interface that you want passive, in this case gig00. Again, do not remove or don't. Let's see, we want to make sure we continue to configure or have configured the network 192.168.1.0 command. Okay, if we remove that or don't configure it, then the router will no longer advertise that network address and prefix linked to router R2. Okay, on R1, we can now see that it is two things we want to take a look at here. Notice that gig00 is a passive interface, and just as important are the, whoops, here we go. That's the one I wanted to circle, this one right here. That 192.168.1.0 is still being advertised. All right, so R2, we do the same thing, passive interface, can verify it. Again, show IP protocols. R3 would do the same thing, but we're going to do it a little different. So we're going to say passive interface default. What that does is says, I'm going to make all my interfaces passive. Okay. Well, why would you do that? Well, you might do that if the majority of your interfaces are local area network interfaces. And instead of doing a lot of passive interfaces commands, it's easier just to make everything passive and then just do the no passive interface and the interface itself on the interfaces that you want to send and receive the updates on. Okay, so in this case here, let's say we had three LAN interfaces on R3. It would make them all passive, and we just did the serial interface as non-passive. Okay, so that's it. Passive interfaces, and it's a common technique that we do on other routing protocols like EIGRP, OSPF, and EIGRP.